guys, welcome to our March compilation video here at the Stash Report. For the new guys, I think that pretty much says it. We do automotive stuff here only. So if you're here out of a abundance of interest in the tactical jackalope scale Texas Andy top speed build off, then sorry, we don't do the tanks, boats, planes, and all the rest of that stuff here. Just simply because it's another genre that I can't possibly get myself into. It's hard enough to keep track of the automotive stuff, and entering another genre of the hobby at this point in my life would require me to spend way too much time and energy researching what is actually new, what's not. You got stuff like the Edward stuff where they're putting photo etch into old kits and all that sort of nonsense. We stick to the car stuff here. So if you're into cars or you want to become into cars, well, you're in the right place. If not, we'll see you on the update of the top speed build. At any rate, guys, we got out the notebook of knowledge. Now we got a little bit of stuff coming out from everywhere. Aoshima, Tamiya, and Fujimi from overseas, and then Revell and Round 2 here domestically. We'll start domestically since I know you guys who don't care about what's going on over in Asia, although this month that was a particularly stupid point of view to be taking. You guys can go ahead and check out here. So, on the Round 2 side of things, we have stuff coming out of pretty much every company that Round 2 owns other than Polar Lights. That was last month. But on the Lindbergh side of things, they're going to be reissuing the 1938 Ford Custom Van. This is another piece of tooling that was done off of that 1938 Ford Hot Rod that they did. I believe that might have been after Lindbergh transitioned from Craft House to the J. Lloyd, which is where you got the kits like the 2006 Dodge Charger and Charger police cars. The Ramunition, whatever the big monster truck is that they did. I've never actually built the hot rod or this van. It looks more like a sedan delivery to me, but who am I to argue? And I don't know anybody who's built one either. I haven't really gone into the forums and backwards searched through to see if I've seen anybody build one. But it is, modern tooling in the sense that it was done within the last 15, 20 years. How well it assembles, I don't know. But it's not going to be like a Pyro or one of the old Palmer kits that Lindbergh got their hands on over the course of the years. It's not going to be anything quite that dramatically awful, but I've never looked in one. I've never seen the insides of ones. I can't recommend it or not recommend it. From MPC, you're getting from here on, Round 2, everything's a reissue, but these are all, sort of retro deluxe reissues in that sense. You're going to get a reissue from MPC of the Mack DM600 tractor. I believe this was out probably 10, 12 years ago, maybe a little more recently than that, but not by a whole lot. Under the Model King label, this is going to be pretty much a straight reissue of that kit that Dave Burkett paid to have the tooling cleaned up and everything on. There doesn't, from reading the description in the sales information for it, it doesn't look like there's anything new added to it other than the retro box art. It's sort of got the MPC General Mills era box art on it, as well as I'm sure it'll have like vintage-ish decals. It'll be newly drawn decals, but they'll replicate whatever decals that came with originally. But beyond that, I don't believe there's supposed to be anything really new about that. On AMT, they said this kit came out in February. I haven't seen it, but then I did not see it at the show we just did this past weekend, but I haven't been to the hobby shop. So I don't know if it's actually out or it's not, but we're going to count it as a March release because they never put it on the February release schedule. And that is the 1937 Chevy Coupe. Now, this is basically I believe it's more of a 2-in-1 than an actual 3-in-1, but it has been retooled to include the original, or something close to it since there's a retool, 3-part stock bench seat and stock taillights. You're going to get the vintage box, of course, and then a redrawn set of the original decals, and then pad-printed white walls or pad-printed drag slicks, because there is a drag racing version of this kit available. I think it's technically a 3-in-1. I believe it is stock, custom, or gasser. I'd have to look at the actual thing. Go to round2models.com and look at the AMT section if you want all the information about it. But, kind of neat because with the retool parts, this will be effectively the same kit it was originally when it was first issued. Another kit that's getting the same treatment this month is the 1932 Ford Victoria. This has been retooled backwards by the addition of a lot of old parts that have been missing or damaged to the little Vicky boxing of the original kit. Retooled drag wheels, retooled drag motor parts, they retooled the custom fenders. You get pad-printed drag slicks, along with, of course, the vintage box art, and a redrawn set of the vintage original decal. So, while they're a little out of my preferred line in the sense of things I would actually, go out and buy probably, just because, 1960s AMT tooling can be a little bit on the not modern side, let's put it that way. They're certainly not kits that can't be built by somebody with some skills and some patience, but they're not, 2015 Revell tooling. It's not going to just, it's not Tamiya. You're not going to pour paint in the box and get a model kit out. You're just going to get a lot of messy parts back out. But it is really neat, I think, when they go back and they, at least backdate these kits to their origins. If you're going to go do the whole retro deluxe thing, do it with kits that are old enough to be retro deluxe. I don't get the point of doing the vintage box art on AMT Ertl era kits like the 68 Roadrunner, 62 T-Bird, 62 Pontiac, the recently, wasn't out released all that long ago, the 67 Shelby GT350, the 70.5 Camaro Baldwin motion car. All of those kits came with fake box art because they're not old enough to have 1960s style box art. Now I get the idea of trying to keep the box art sort of uniform and cool, old, retro. But the problem is, and we see it all the time, is people either who are new to the hobby entirely or coming back into the hobby, and maybe they're come back into the hobby for the first time ever, for a real long time. They're not like my age; they're like 50s, 60s, are getting these kits that have they all look the same now. They're all retro box art except the showroom replica kits that are the curbside on a somewhat promotional car models of current cars, which haven't been any of those in a couple of years anyway. And they're really getting into a situation where they expect modern tooling and they're not getting it, or because they expected modern tooling and picked up something like the Shizum Corvair Dragster funny car and had to do all of the chassis trimming that was required to get the Hemi under glass chassis to fit into the Corvair body, or they got any of these other old AMT kits where positive mounting locations is a suggestion and not an actual thing that happens, then they just all AMT kits suck, can't stand any of them, they're all junk, blah blah blah, and then they sort of miss out on the ones that are actually buildable and look halfway decent. So, that's my speech on round 2. Revell, 4 automotive kits. I hesitate to call one of them an automotive kit because it's more of a little toy show car-y thing. I mean, it's a model kit, but that would be the Ed Roth Surfite, I should say. I think it's like 140 parts, but I don't know how much of that is the pre-painted Ed Roth figure and the Tiki Hut and 3 surfboards that come with it. I suppose, it might be a good fodder for the surfboards and the Tiki Hut, although the Tiki Hut is very Ed Roth cartoonish rather than being anything that resembles an actual Tiki Hut. It's another old Revell kit, back when the Ed Roth stuff was real popular. If you're into that thing, no skin off my back on that. You're probably excited to have it back, especially with the added little extra parts in it. But, it's not the way I think for me. The other 3 kits are 2 reissues and 1 sort of, so like a new kit, if you will. The reissues this month for March in Revell are the 1940 Ford Standard Coupe. This is the one, it's buried behind stuff. I have the convertible version, but that's not what I'm looking for. It is a factory stock only. This kit was issued maybe in late 90s, early 2000s. Came out right when I was completely out of the hobby. I tried to keep one foot in, one toe in at least, to sort of keep track of what was going on. But there were a few years where I was out entirely, and both of these reissues actually came out during that time. So there are no, it's literally, guys, literally a factory stock build. It's a slightly different trim level than the AMT 1940 vintage 1940 kit. It's a really nice kit. It's modern tooling. It's not old like the AMT kit is. But, you're not getting a dragster out of this. You're not getting any custom parts. It is factory stock only. Now, if you have a big parts box, this may be a great place to start something other than a completely factory stock build, being that it's new, 1/25th scale, and all the rest of that stuff. Or you maybe just want to stick to the AMT kit if you're not into the idea of just a base. The standard was like the base trim level on top of everything. The reissue is the 59 Cadillac Eldorado Seville. This is the steel roof version of the 59 Cadillac Eldorado Barrett's convertible that Monogram originally released as the Monogram kit. It is, technically speaking, the first 1/25th scale kit that Monogram ever did, right before everything became Revell Monogram, and then Monogram just sort of faded off into nowhere after the companies merged and everything. This is another kit that sort of it's not too far away, but I have to get up and move everything. That one's not buried, but it's in front of me, so I have to move everything to get to it. It's another kit that sort of came out during that time where I didn't even know it existed at all until I found that at a show about 5 years ago. I don't believe the 1944 has ever been reissued. I don't think. There is a 1944 like Hot Rod, but it's not the same kit. The Seville hardtop was reissued in like 2002, I want to say. I found a vendor who had like 3 of them for $12 a piece, and I was like, yes, please, because I knew what the kit was. Looking at it, it's not some old 60s tooling. It's that 1993, 1994 tooling. If you guys remember the Eldorado Barrett's convertible, that was the one that was pink and molded in pink at that too. So this is a reissue of the Eldorado Seville, the hardtop. Both of these kits would be something I'd be really, really interested in going and picking up if I didn't own, I own a vintage 40 standard because it's never been reissued, and I have the reissue of the Eldorado, so I'm out of luck on those two. And then the last one, the sort of new kit, is the Revell USA rebox of the Cabriolet Golf GTI kits, because this is sort of going to be a mix mash of the two to produce a Volkswagen Rabbit. Now, the question that we all have is how much of a Volkswagen Rabbit you're really going to get. Because unless they tooled up an entirely separate third body to, create a U.S. spec Rabbit, what you're going to end up getting is, and we saw the parts are actually on the parts runners in the German kits, is you're going to get the clear plastic lights for all the U.S. spec marker lights. You're going to get like the base engine out of the Cabriolet, the base interior out of the Cabriolet, and all that stuff. But it's probably more than likely, nothing's known for sure because nobody wants to say anything about it, but the ones that seem to be on display, the displays of the test shots seem to be the Golf GTI body. Now that is incorrect because the Golf GTI body has flares. The fenders are flared. Now a lot of people say, well, you just sand the engraved texture off the fender flares and you'd be all right. Well, the problem is the fender flares are also too wide. Now again, you go after that with a file and blah blah blah. I mean, you're a kit assembler or a model builder. Yeah, it's all stuff that could be fixed, but it's also one of those things where, much like every Revell of Germany kit, if you have bought any Revell USA reboxed Ferrari, the Audis, the Volkswagen Beetle, the '68 Volkswagen Beetle, the Mini Cooper, let's see, I'm trying to think what else they've reboxed that I didn't buy in the Revell boxing. The 599 GTO, I think, was in a Revell USA box. You buy any of those things, they're all Euro spec cars. They may throw a US license plate in there or something like that, but they're all Euro spec cars. And the Beetle particularly was a wreck of a US spec car because it gave you US plates but no license plate backs for it. Sure, you can make them out of sheet stock, but I mean they didn't even try to convert that car because it was a German specific 1968 Beetle, and there was so much conversion work would have had to be done to make it a US spec one that the kit probably wouldn't have existed. So I'll be interested if it really, honest to God, is a third body shell, or they've done something to it to take the flares off the fender, so I don't have to fix their lackadaisical, here's something, do something with it attitude that they do with these reboxes. Then I'll go get one because then we had a Rabbit when I was a kid. It was a 4-door, but we still had one. If it's just a Golf GTI body with the Cabriolet parts, well, I already have a GTI and I already have a Cabriolet, and I'm really not that interested in Gen 1 Golfs in order to have a third one. So take it with a grain of salt, guys. If I am in a wait and see. Somebody's going to go buy one and show it on the line, and then I'll make my decision from there. Moving overseas into Japan. You've got, from Fujimi this month, their spot runs are the Ferrari F12 DX. This is the deluxe kit. That's what the DX stands for if you ever see anything online. A lot of the GT3 cars had DX versions. The Veneno had a DX version. I think the Aventador and the Reventon also had DX versions. That's DX means deluxe. It has photo etch with it. Sometimes the photo etch is done by Fujimi. Sometimes the photo etch is done by KA Models. The ones that KA Models, the photo etch doesn't necessarily always fit real well. The ones done by Fujimi seem to fit a little better. You also get a reissue of the 96 Nissan S14 Silvia. Interesting thing about this kit, I don't know if we mentioned this in recent weeks or not, but you're going to be able to build it one of two ways out of the box. You can either build it as a stock S14 Silvia or as the Autech version. I know when we announced it originally, it was just announced as the Autech version. But this one you're going to be able to build it either or. It's going to come with basically the Autech version is a different front spoiler, different side skirts, different wheels, and a bigger spoiler. It also comes with window masks, which is the new feature because it never had window masks before. I really appreciate the Japanese guys. The Aoshima and Fujimi have both been doing this a lot lately, where not only are they including window masks and things, which is always nice, but they're including all of the parts that a specific kit came with. So, the stock Silvia and the Autech Silvia were two separate model kits at one point in time. Remember the Isuzu Bellet, you could technically build it one of four different ways. The Aoshima Mitsubishi Pajero Metal Top Wide has all of the off-road parts that came with the various other boxings of that kit, the roof rack and all of the off-road lights and all that stuff. So, I said, big favor of these guys when they go out and include more parts. And speaking of which, the last three kits, which when we mentioned them when they were announced originally, are sort of a derivative of the fact that they reissued that Z432R kit in the Circuit Wolf stuff last month, and they are the 73 Nissan GTR KPC 110 or KPGC 110, the Fairlady 240ZL, and the Fairlady 240ZG. All of these kits more or less share the same chassis, and they also are all full detail kits. You get a full engine, has a transmission, a bottom, the whole 9 yards. They're full detail kits. The only thing about these kits that are sort of engraved into the chassis is like the center of the rear end, the pumpkin, the gear housing, basically. The axles are separate, the exhaust is separate, front suspension, back suspension, all that stuff separate. Just the pumpkin, the differential, for lack of a better word, is engraved into the chassis. The GTR kit, as well as both of the 240s, will come with 2 sets of wheels and 2 sets of tires. You're going to get the factory stock wheels, which are like the factory stock hubcaps in the 240Z and steel wheels in the Skyline. And then you're going to get a set of offset tires, big and littles, and offset Watanabes in all 3 of those kits as well. Again, another situation where there was like a ZL and then a ZL Street Machine and a ZG and a ZG Street Machine, and then there was the Skyline and then the Ken and Mary Skyline, where they were separate kits. Now you're going to get both sets of wheels and both sets of tires in one kit. The ZL is the luxury version of the 240Z. I don't know, it's basically just the 240Z, for lack of a better term. The ZL, I think, was a designation only in Japan. The ZG is the sort of light racing version. It was a homogenization thing for rally. The G nose, which is the big long fiberglass nose with the enclosed acrylic headlight covers, was something that was sold through Datsun dealerships here in the United States. And both of the Z kits do have left-hand drive, left-hand wipers, and U.S. mirrors and stuff like that. So you can build them a U.S. spec, although I do not believe the decals will have any Datsun scripts. They're all going to be saying Nissan. But, again, sort of a neat thing there. The Zs haven't been out for a little while, other than the 432R, and the Skyline had been out. I don't know if it was something that had been discontinued or not. I got mine last year, so I'm not sure if it was out of production and then put back in or not. The other thing from Fujimi is that Circuit Wolf, brand new tool, Lotus Europa Special. However, at this point in time, it's still not actually on the Fujimi master release list. It was when it was announced, and then it sort of evaporated when it got updated this month. Again, don't know if that's a clerical error or if that's a situation where it's temporarily out, on hold. Because usually when Fujimi runs across a problem with tooling, test shots, or whatever, they'll just add a little notation to the release date that says, due to delays, release date is effectively blah. They did that with the Mitsubishi Fuso car hauler several times. It's just gone right now, so we'll see what's going on with that. Over to Aoshima, you've got 2 spot run kits. Not a lot of stuff this month because they're still carrying over stuff from last month. The spot run kits this month are the S30 Fairlady Z Aero Custom. This is the best car vintage kit. If you want a full detail, custom, big fender flary, Z, then go buy the Z432R kit that just came out of Fujimi, because this is not only a curbside, but it's an old motorized curbside at that. The Aero custom parts were added like in 2012, but other than that, it's a really old kit. Also this month, the A31 Nissan Cefiro with the Wonder Drift tuning parts put into it. That one, I don't know if that's been sold out recently or not. It seems to be something I remember seeing recently, but it might be something that was out. Stuff that carried over from February, you got the Spec V R35 GTR, never came out. The 2010 WRX STI never came out. The 2007 WRX STI June tuning version never came out. The HCR 32 Skyline 4-door GTS Turbo Type M with the RB20 DET engine insert, that never came out. That would probably be the one of those things that has been gone for the longest period of time as far as out of production. I think all the rest of those things are just going to be, are just stock stuffing in the sense of refilling the shelves. But that 4-door Skyline has been out of production now for about 1.5 years. Rough edit, because I flipped the Notebook of Knowledge over and turned the camera off. The other 2 things from Aoshima that are coming out this month, or ones will carry over, is the 1997 Le Mans F1 GTR Longtail McLaren Loctite sponsored car. That was supposed to be February release, never showed up. And then March's actual release. And I would believe maybe, if I see box art come out of Aoshima the next week or so, I'll believe it's coming out in March. Otherwise, But I've seen another round of test shot builds on this, and it seems like it's good. But I haven't seen box art for it yet, so that's usually the indication that it's not ready. Is the Lamborghini Aventador 50th Anniversario. This is a modified reissue of the existing Aventador Coupe kit. You get all the 50th Anniversario, parts added to it, as well as the wheels out of the Roadster kit. The Aventador Super Veloce was recently introduced over at the Geneva Auto Show. And to me, it looks like the 50th Anniversario with a wing stuck on it and a different set of rims. So I know nothing. This is not a hint. This is not speculation. This is just personal request. Make that kit too. Aventador, all the trim levels. I mean, you got 3 of them. 2 out, 3 coming. Might as well make the 4th one. And then that leaves us over to Tamiya. If you watch the weekly video, you already know that Tamiya is going to be spot running the 1/20th scale Porsche 928S, the Jaguar Mark II Saloon, which is the street car. This is the historic kit, full detail, the whole 9 yards. I also did a peek on HobbyLink Japan to see if they had anything else showing a March restock for Tamiya, and those 2 other kits were the molded in yellow version of the Ferrari 360 Modena, and the 2003 Calsonic Nissan GTR race car. I don't know that either one of those 2 had been out of production recently or had sold out recently. I think they were just restocks in the sense of refilling stock. The 1/20th scale 928 has been out of production for a little while, and then the Mark II Saloon I believe sold out sometime last year because it was a reissue right either before the end of 2013 or right at the beginning of 2014, and it sold like crazy. It was one of the very few Tamiya spot run restocks that sold out, or not sold out, but was put on order stop. Usually Tamiya's restocks are like, oh hey, that's coming back into stock, maybe I'll pick one of those up. No, this was something that it had been out of production for a little while. The prices on eBay were like $40-50, and everybody went and got one. So if you didn't and you missed it, here's your chance. And then, of course, the big thing out to me, and the one genuinely new tool kit that we know will show up for sure in March, is the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, the Gullwing. Probably third week of March, I'm guessing. That's usually when Tamiya's kits come out, end of the third week. So got a couple more weeks to go on that one, but certainly one of the more anticipated releases across the spectrum. This is one of these Tamiya kits that will genuinely bridge the divide to a certain extent between the older builders and the younger generation, in the sense that it's a 1955 car, and it's old enough and the correct subject matter that the old guys who build nothing but like 50s and 60s cars are forced with the fact that they can either pick up a Tamiya kit and actually build one, or be stuck with all of the other subpar kits. And for like $28 or whatever it's running right now, so long as they buy it through Japan and don't wait till it goes in their hobby shop, it costs $72. I think this one's going to be one of those kits you're going to see a lot of out there. I know of at least 24 orders for them, just between friends and people I know. So, and that's here in the States, and that's way more than a normal to me. The little Ferrari got some interest out of some people, but I only know about 8 people who actually bought one. I know of, like I said, 24 people minimum that have pre-ordered this one. So, you know what, guys, I think that's pretty much it. The only other carryovers, if you want to talk about Europe, we never got the Model T Touring from ICM yet. The Heller Renault 4L has not shown up yet. I just saw recently that that Revell of Germany is reissuing the BMW Z1. It's something we talked about in the last year at some point. I'm not sure. It didn't make it that was not in the Nuremberg Toy Fair video, but I announced that back when they announced it at the end of the year. You can find those all day long and twice on Sunday for $10 on eBay. The only problem is the U.S. box was too small, and they tend to have crushed windshield pillars. So if you really wanted one and you're willing to pay the price, I don't know what the reissue cost is. The reissue price, I don't know that's going to be, because they can't be charging $30 like they would a new kit, because it's just a reissue of something that has been reissued at least once in the U.S. Reeboks. And then also the Audi R8, it says matte black, like as in non-glossy black, not a guy named Matt Black. Was reissued here a couple of days ago. I don't know if that's a global reissue or that was just something that came up in Japan. I didn't mention it because, again, the Audi R8 is something you can find all over the place and a couple times over. And I don't know what the deal with the matte black is, if it's molded in black or what, because the side little pieces, the little blades, there we go, there's a word I'm looking for. The side blades are gloss black in the drawing, and the rest of the car is just flat black. So, if you need an R8, and you're willing to shell out again more than the kit is worth, because there's just piles of the old ones laying around, that's out there. So, at any rate, guys, that's going to cover it for this month. Hope you found that informative. Excuse the rough edit there. Too much flopping around in the notebook of knowledge. Turn the camera off. That's what I get for leaving the mouse on the stop button, I guess. Anyway, guys, we'll see you on the other side.